Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing Women's Racing Series, event number 6. It's a points race out on Grand Central Circuit. I'm Nathan Garrett. Dave Toll is next to me. The ladies have gotten out on course. It's 4 laps with a sprint and a KOM, Queen of the Mountain, out there. It's going to be a difficult course, I think, being a points race with a sprint and a punch over one of the most difficult climbs in the world of Zwift racing. I think the ladies have a lot cut out for them today, Dave.
This is going to be a really long 29K of racing as we head to New York. There's no doubt about it, Nathan. I'm looking at my clock. A lot of times, you think 29K, that'll certainly be less than an hour. Not for many riders today, I wouldn't think. You put it really well. This really, it's like an everything bagel, as they say. This one's got everything out there for our riders. So expect a tough day. We've got a really strong group of B and C women. So it's going to be nice to check in and see how they're doing as we get to the end of what's been a great series. By the way, shout out to Kate and everyone at Zwift involved with the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. What a huge success the second edition was. I was just blown away by the exciting racing. And I did want to note, Nathan, that I don't know if you saw the numbers, but Demi Vollering was putting up for her 20-minute power numbers for that final stage, or excuse me, for the penultimate stage before the time trial. 5.7 watts per kilo. A legit 5.7 watts per kilo to win the Tour de France. That's heads and tails above anything that's really ever been seen before.
5.7 over the top of that kind of at elevation too. I mean,
At elevation, that's
woo!
actually add that in. Yeah,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
absolutely
And
flying.
the quality, I had so much fun listening to the Lantern Rouge podcast. I learned a lot about racing this last month, and one of the things that was really fun to watch was, even though SD Works dominated in the end, taking first and second, and obviously they had quite a Tour de France, but the teams attacking and the stories that we saw from the breakaways were tremendous. So in the spirit of women's racing and exactly what we're doing here, we'll see this is really kind of like the Queen stage, to tell you the truth, versus the time trial that wrapped everything up. We're going to jump in with what replicates the toughest day of racing in France in July.
100%. Let's go ahead and get into some of the racing right away, actually. We're going to jump down in with the B category, actually, to start. It does look like we've got a little bit of a breakaway going over the
It's a
top
familiar
of
team.
the climb. Yep, we've got actually Edqvist is interesting enough out of Sweden jumping in here on the Movistar team, actually, in the B category. So good to see Edqvist here. Ericsson, along with NZ Bro with their donut kit. Loving that they're throwing that out there today again. Smith is there with them, as well as Oliver, and they've got Francis, it looks like, trying to maybe create a little bit of disruption off the front here as they make this downhill. It's an interesting little attack as, Dave, with the new pack dynamics, they don't catch you quite as quickly. Only one rider on the front gets into the super tuck. The roll through isn't quite as great, and I don't think our teammates are going to be chasing her, so that's going to put it up to Ericsson as well as Edqvist to make the chase. We'll get some replays out here about how we got here and who won the first sprints, as well as the Queen of the Mountains. It's going to be super interesting how this plays out. We've also got a situation within the A category with Maria Marb from Beast Mode breaking away with Luis Gamps. We'll get into those images in just a moment.
So, Nathan, as you talk about the changes, some not so subtle, because that one was a big deal. I really appreciate the efforts that have gone into improving the quality of racing. And certainly that was a big one when you talk about super tucking and eliminating some of that avalanche effect that you would see. So, yeah, nice job there as we're taking a look at a 5-rider group. Do you know the origin, Nathan, with the donut jerseys for NZ Bro? When I think of New Zealanders,
So
donuts don't
that's
come to
actually,
mind.
yeah. So that's a level 58 or 59 unlock, actually. So they're using one of the later unlocks.
It's a
It came
humble
along with
brag.
the donuts. I think there's a cookie, and then there was like one other that all came with the same level that all unlocked together. So That's where that's coming from, actually, I believe.
So if your whole team, Nathan, is wearing the donut jersey, that is a humble brag. Then, if everybody is level 58,
Yeah,
it's a
it's not a
high
bad,
level of
not a
achievement.
bad break, not a bad break,
Yeah,
actually, for sure.
not a bunch of
Over
newcomers.
No, real quickly over in the A category, this is the current situation. If we jump on over and see that we actually have BL13 versus Beast Mode throwing down, which is a pretty interesting situation. Luis Gamps continues to press the pace here. Maria Marb there out of Germany. And Laura Meyer was off the back momentarily and now has found her way back. I wonder if Luis slowed up a little bit, but now it's going to allow Kate Baines here from Synergy, the Irish woman, to maybe claw her way back. Sees Zub there off the back out of Poland, unable to get back into 57 seconds after the climb. But 2 seconds here for Baines. But I think they're about to ramp up for a sprint, so it's going to probably be another situation where Baines loses more time. It's going to end up being a solo TT, I think, today for Baines.
Well, Synergy, the team of the Irish woman, Karen Baines there. This is going to be the Danish talent on BL13, Louis Gamst. It was her teammate who won last week, Laura Meyer, out here. And there was some talk about Gamst possibly working to help set up her teammate or learn some winning habits out here. Repetition is the mother of learning. Certainly BL13 is, on the women's side, one of the most exciting teams, Nathan, out there right now. Really looking forward to what they're going to be doing this fall in the Zwift Racing League and all the different racing that everyone's looking forward to. But right now, a bit of an opportunity to work out some kinks in the machine. This is going to be, again, one of, I think I was talking about it last week, but one of the top 10 esports riders right now in the sport, Louise Gamst, up on the front here. And she's applying a little bit of pressure, but Maria Marb, Nathan, is a seasoned veteran out here as well for the Mighty Mighty Beast Mode, presented by Rose Team. But there you go, Gamst has hit out.
Yeah, Gamps looks like she's going to be taking these down. Orange numbers popping. It looks like 8.3 watts per kilogram. And Miriam Robb coming on through. Laura Meyer going to be the third one across the line for first across the line there. Now we are going to jump back in with the B category as they're making their way around. As you can see, a little bit of a push on forward. Smith here to the front here for NZ Bro. Followed up by Francis, Erickson, Edquist, and Feezy has made this highest power. Now, there was just the contact made by a few of these riders as NZ Bro slowed things up just a tad there as they made their way around toward this next sprint section. 8.1K down. The kick hasn't started just yet. I think they're waiting for the timing across that line. Nobody really going just yet, interesting enough. Erickson finally making a kick, it looks like here. Most likely going to just take that one right on down, right to the line. Her and Heisbauer to the line. I think it was going to be Erickson maybe just able to grab that one. We do have a lead group here of, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 7? 6 riders. Excuse me, 6 riders still off the front. We do have Coalition on the chase, it looks like, with 2 riders. And maybe even a third right behind. Oh, no, a little ways back there for the third rider. But it looks like it's going to be Silvana alongside of Beaver here. These two on the chase trying to bring back 21 seconds.
Yeah, I definitely keep an eye on them as they should be able to start relaying each other. We talked about how challenging this course is. The reverse climb is the main feature out here. It's basically 2 kilometers at 6% average, but it does pitch up to a really steep 15%. That's where we're going to see most of the damage done. It's 4 tough laps out here as we take a look at the riders out on lap number 2 right now. This is our B category, and Feezy's the Synergy rider. That's another team that's been well represented, Nathan. Synergy coming on strong here. They seem to have their ducks in a row, but they're a lot to deal with in this B category. Although if I remember correctly, last week, Nathan, NZ Bro had numbers in that final group, but they didn't ultimately take the outright win.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, so we'll see how the planning goes here. I have a feeling they got the strength, though, but having Edquist in there from Movistar in and amongst this crowd is going to really shake things up, I have a feeling. Also, Ericsson has been showing a lot of strength through each and every section of the course, pressing the pace. So it'll be interesting to see between those two if they're a little bit more than NZ Bro can handle. They're going to have to play some team tactics, I think, up against some of the these powerhouses that have shown up. The other thing about Feezy here from Synergy, she's been very persistent. So watch out for the Synergy crew because they do like to just set a high tempo and not sit around for too long. They don't like to play tactics too much, in my opinion. They just like to give it a go. Now starting the Queen of the Mountain at the bottom here, I believe, as we do have Edquist now starting at 5.4 4 from the get-go at the bottom. So that's going to really put some hurt into the legs.
Larissa Hesboer, the Dutch rider here, is a real talent. I mean, across the entire spectrum here, her 20-minute power is, we have a couple riders that are at this 3.9 watts per kilo. Actually seeing now that Feezy, the rider who, the Synergy rider that you can see there, is right at 4.0 watts per kilo. So really, really strong climbers that we've got in this front group right now as they come up on what's going to be the toughest sector out here. It pitches up at this point. Numbers go red. And there she is, right on cue is Edqvist. That's a great call, Nathan, the Swedish rider who we haven't seen participating week in, week out in this series. So she's definitely a difference maker out here as Eriksson. It looks like going over the top. So the Danish rider followed by the Swede here as we're seeing a little bit of a split right now. It is on.
Yeah, and Edqvist going away with, is that going to be Eriksson? These two have been the powerhouses so far, really pressing the paces each time. It only can be followed by Smith from NZ Bro. Off the back is going to be Francis at this point. Oliver now 2 seconds, and at 2 seconds, Dave, I have a feeling this may be curtains for Oliver. Now just starting the Queen of the Mountain actually at the bottom with this this side of this climb on Grand Central. And with now, unless they sit up and look at each other a little bit on the climb, that may happen here, which might change things up just a tad between the riders here. Francis here out the front, though, does slow things down. I think that was almost on purpose, Dave, in order to make sure that her teammate might get back on terms. Oliver now 5.4. Might go flying right on by as the little bit of a kick up in that gradient, 8% gradient. That does give you an opportunity if you're rolling with a little speed to bring back some time. Looks like that's exactly what happened.
Even though the distance isn't that long, Nathan, it's going to be a relatively long day as far as the esports go in the saddle. And you're going to see riders that come good in the final third of this race. It's not a time trial, obviously, but it's not a huge peloton that you can sit in all day as well. So energy management throughout this race is going to be critical to having success.
100%. Now looking over back at the A category, we do have a good amount of women, 4 women now back together. It looks like between Gamst, Marb, Baines, and Laura Meyer as they start their Queen of the Mountain as well. They're climbing pretty steadily all together. Nobody really on the attack interesting enough, so that's the current situation over at the A's. We're going to jump in with the C category as well momentarily. Just wanted a quick little check-in. And Gamst here pressing the pace again at 5 watts per kilogram.
You know, what's interesting to me, Nathan, is that the A's really aren't that far ahead of the B's right now out on course. The B's are definitely punching above their weight. I guess they had a larger group to start with as well, so that would have definitely benefited them in the early going out here. But back to the Tête de la Corsa, the front of the bike race, and this is Louise Gamst, a superstar in her own right, riding in. This is the peloton for our A's as we take a look.
Real quickly here, I just want to highlight Eriksson does go on the attack here over with this B category. We'll jump back in with them. It looks like Gamst and Marb here on the A side, though. They are going to be back and forth just a tad. That's the attacks happen over on there. But I want to jump on in with this attack here with Eriksson. Edqvist now 3 seconds back. Nobody really making any moves to bring this back just as of yet. Only 3.7 watts per kilogram. Eriksson backs off as it gets into the 1% gradient. There's going to be another kick, I think, that she's just reserving a little bit of something for. And this might be a snapping elastic with one off the front. But no, it looks like with those feather power-ups, they bring it back. Francis now 6.7. NZ Bro here now reverses the tables a little bit here. And Francis at 6.6 was not expecting this. Movistar is able to hang on with Edqvist. We've got Oliver and Feezy off the back, but still 2 NZ Bros making the juncture, so that's going to be in their favor. Now, they did save their feathers as well. Eriksson able to follow. I wonder if those 2 riders off the back will be able to work together to bring this back. But Francis is not holding up, looking for some big points here over the top as she makes this attack. Nice one there. Is going to take it away from Edqvist. And this is still anybody's race at this point, because the first time over the top, I believe it was Edqvist as well as Eriksson that were really the drivers. NZ Bro, though, now taking over on lap 2.
I'm curious what happens now, to tell you the truth. NZ Bro doing a really good job of animating and dictating this race right now as the New Zealanders, Francis and Smith, are absolutely the front runners here. So we still have a long way to go with 2 more trips up that brutal QOM, the reverse climb there. What do you think, Nathan? Does Francis want to make this a solo attack from here? Is she waiting for someone to bridge up? She's obviously on some great legs right now.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting question here because the way that this works out, I think having those two to work with is definitely within her favor to keep the spirits up, and I think as well as to uh, push over the top of a climb. I don't, having Edquist alongside, not as big of a deal this far into the race with still 2 laps to go. I think NZ Bro will have a couple more options, having two riders there. So I think it's not too much of a bother, especially with the way that Edquist has been pushing. I have a feeling that competition is only going to perhaps help out a little bit to keep the paces high here. Now, behind, though, Ericsson is driving, though, does not want to get dropped. The Synergy rider actually working alongside. Oliver here now wants to get back as well. So I think these three are going to work pretty hard to get back, while the other three up front, they're just going to reserve for 2 mile times through the sprint as well as the Queen of the Mountain section. And as we come through here, it looks like little ways back, the coalition riders. Now separation between Beaver and Silvana. But Silvana here now pushing on with Heischbauer from Team NL, who did get dropped off a little bit earlier. Interesting enough. So Heischbauer, Team NL, now over the top, it looks like, with Silvana. This is the two riders on the chase to try and bring back 54 seconds. That's not going to be happening, but they're looking also to hold off the rider behind, at least Silvana is, the coalition rider who is Beaver. So that's what's going to be happening between them as little ways back. NGO, solo ride for her, tap 10.
I'm looking at that flag, the coalition rider Silvana, Nathan. Is that familiar to you right off the...
No,
it's a beautiful flag.
It is an interesting flag for sure. And I'm looking
and that is Macedonia.
Like yeah, exactly. I'm not sure we've ever seen that one here on the program.
No. I'm going to say that we haven't, just because I really feel like that would stand out to us. That's a really impressive flag, Macedonia. So there we have it. That's a nice treat of getting to such an international group of racers with us. Is that Silvana, the rider that we're talking about right now, a level 53 Zwifter. I see her in her Canyon jersey in her profile. 331 races out here. So she's been a very, very active Zwifter. I'm a fan already, Silvana.
And currently on the chase. Not sure it's going to be brought back, but definitely working together with... no, I wonder if she is working together with Heischbauer at this point. It looks like she is. At 3.7, 4.3.
I think so.
Yeah, she is looking to bring this back. I think that her teammate here is going to have to be in a solo TT at this point. That's going to be Vanessa Beaver here from Coalition. Coalition showing up with 4 out there today. Holly Bergen, Justine Calder, Savannah Zenker, and Vanessa Beaver all in this B category. So solid crew. Galaxy also has some representation with Boxy, always showing up. Good to see Boxy out here. And it's interesting. We got Rave out here as well. What's interesting is the riders who are showing up, a lot of these big teams from the Zwift Racing League, I think, are prepping their legs, finishing out the Zwift Racing Series here. And we recently had the announcement over at WTRL. If you haven't seen the course profiles that got announced, I think I did notice on my Zwift Companion app, suddenly some of the bigger names have started showing up. I think a lot of riders are starting to go, okay, it's time to start getting our legs ready and our Zwift craft ready for the upcoming season. I really think that's going to be on a lot of people's minds at this point. So it's good to see that these teams are jumping out here and most likely in their Discords and getting a feeling again for what it's like to do some teamwork for some points races, scratch races, and TTTs. We've got all 3 of those coming up in the Zwift Racing League, actually, Dave. 2 scratch races, 2 points races, and 2 TTTs. It's going to be quite the season. I really like the way that they've structured it this year.
I'm incredibly stoked. I think a lot of people are. You can really feel that energy, Nathan. You're exactly right. You just feel like it's like the spring flowers popping up, the Zwift version of that. You're like, oh, good to see that person again out Zwifting. So just like it's been a little while, I'd say, since we saw Edqvist, the Movistar rider, riding up in our front group. So it's always nice to welcome those folks back as they move through the midpoint of this race. 2 more climbs on that QOM, the feature climb out out here. So a lot to look forward to. And the other thing that's worth noting as we are here at our women's series, Nathan, is that teams like BL13 or Next and Short have added a serious women's contingent to their programs. And that's nice to see. Let's go back to the action now, though, because these segments really do matter out here in today's points race. That's going to be well, it looks like a little bit of a counterattack is the energy coming out of that arch, the sprint there. It was Ericsson who was the first over the line, Nathan, and she's going to hold on to this front group.
Yeah, Ericsson taking, it looked like to me, most likely top points amongst them. So nice little kick coming from Ericsson again. We'll try and get an idea of where the points are standing as we can look over at Swift Power. If you're wondering what this course is all about, you've seen us go up and over the top a couple of times of the KOM. It's one of the harder courses for sure in the world of Zwift racing. As we can take a quick look over here at this Grand Central Circuit, thanks to Zwift Insider. And as you can see here, a little bit of wraparound. They did just come through that sprint section, and they do over the top of the KOM, and then just do it again. It's very short, actually, though, this section comparatively to the short to the rest of. You don't have these. How do I say? It comes at you continually, is what I'm getting at. That rather than going all the way around Central Park and doing the climb on the far end, or wrapping all the way down and around the tops over the top of Central Park over the bridges, you just kind of do this one little section, but that one little section has a giant climb right in the middle of it.
Yeah, this well said. I mean, when you look at it, Central Park, Nathan, is a deceivingly hard course. The New York World, it's amazing. It's really, I think, the best example of if you took someone who Zwifted all the time and had never been to the actual in real life location, that not all Zwift worlds obviously are replicating an in real life place, but in New York, Central Park, that is an exact replication of a lap. Now, this, however, is obviously imaginary that we're looking at right now. And this, I mean, when you look at the course profile that you were just showing, it doesn't do justice to how hard this course is. It really just looks like a lump in the middle of a 7K circuit, basically. Well, this is, as you said, to me, this is one of the 3 toughest courses that we race on.
Yeah, I would say, and this KOM, I mean, it's no joke. It punches
When they're
you right
racing
in the face,
it,
full gas.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sure, anybody can Zwift and get up it if you want to, but when they're full gas, you are at your limit at this point of the climb. And yeah, there's a lot to work with if you're hoping to damage out here. And that's exactly what these women are doing. You can see riders are hanging on right now, just trying to. This is Oliver here, one of the NZ Pro riders, who's showing a lot of spirit as she fights back. Just as other riders, you can see it just almost coming unhitched, but then Ericsson seems to revive herself. It's those 2 jerseys, or make it 3 jerseys from NZ Pro, though, Nathan. Francis has looked very strong here today as we focus on her sitting back with her teammate, but ensconced comfortably in this front group for our B women here as they're just about to get to their 3rd lap. They got to get past this tough part of the climb, though.
Easy now, up over the top, maybe going on a little bit of attack. Very low heart rate here from Feezy. Maybe a very low max heart rate. Interesting enough, here's the woman out of the UK. Sits in 3rd wheel. And Bro now coming over the top of that attack. Go coming from her. Ericsson now presses the pace at 5.3. Edka still on the front. As you can see, all bunched up together. Now, Ericsson going backwards. And that looks to me on purpose, 100% on purpose, as she looks to hang on and just get a draft here to allow NZ Bro to do the work. It does matter on these climbs, not quite as much as it would between the riders when it comes to the flats, obviously. But on the climbs, you still get a little bit of a draft, and you definitely can save some energy. And so, especially at the speeds that they're doing these climbs at 4.05 watts per kilogram steadily, the higher the speeds on the climbs, the more the drafting will matter. And being in the right position, as Ericsson is here, as the gradient will come down a little bit in just a moment here. So as you can see, it's up in the 8. Now it drops down to 7, 6, into those yellow gradient numbers. That's when it really matters. Now she is a little bit off to the left-hand side there, though, so perhaps just making sure that the Synergy rider isn't going to suddenly have a gap, because there is that fine line, Dave, between a lot grabbing a wheel and holding on, reserving energy, and having to close meters where, oof, that energy reserve didn't matter because I have to put a pretty good match in order to close something down. So you always have to kind of be within the right striking distance if you're going to try and play that game.
Well, that's really well put, Nathan. And when you think about it, when you're coming up and over the top of some of these severe climbs, that's where you can't afford to be dangling off of the back, because once they roll over the top, that train is gone if you're not latched on. So you're not going to close down a 3 second gap when they're moving at those kind of speeds. So yeah, having a high race IQ really makes a big difference. They've been softening them up, Nathan and Zed Bro out here. The New Zealand Bicycle Racing Organization, or is it Bicycle Racing Online? I'm never sure if I ever got the straight story on that. Either way, it's our friends from Down Under who certainly do punch above their weight. A lot of blue jerseys here on the front of this group, and they've got their act together with the Tron bikes and now the Feather power-ups. It's the big three of power-ups today, but I feel a real push happening right now as it hits its steepest out on course, 15% grade right now, and they've taken out the 20-pound sledgehammer, just wailing away. Welcome to downtown Payne City right now.
And Zed Bro over the top. It looks like a very coordinated attack here coming from Smith and Francis. Edka's trying to hang on. It looks like they are going to do so. Very evenly matched group up toward the front here. The only one unable to do so is going to be Feezy. Early on, Feezy was on the front, really pushing the pace, and is going to be suffering for that, it looks like. Still, the heart rate extremely low here coming from Feezy from the Synergy Rider here. So must really beat low when it comes to a max heart rate. But Oliver here just looking to hold on. Erickson now 4.8, a little bit of a gap opening up, and it looks like Oliver and Erickson not going to be able to hold on. Oliver not going to be able to hold on to Erickson's wheel, excuse me. Now looks like Smith, though, is going to give her just barely that wheel with the drafting. Yeah, the truck here going to give her that. 167 beats per minute. Francis,
that's a good use of a power-up right there, actually. Well done. I mean, that was the perfect power-up at the right time to save her race.
Yeah, and I think I mean, that's a good way to put it about saving the race there, because it was right on the edge for sure. Now we do have 5. It looks like Feezy with 14 seconds. She did have riders with her last time. I don't think this is going to be coming back this time as they head into. Going to be 1 to go in just a moment. And this seems to be our front 5 within the B category.
Yeah, there's no doubt that your winner is on screen right now. If you had a fear of heights, this would be the worst descent that you could possibly ever be on. A see-through road. As you look down at New York City below you, I would be definitely, the knees would be knocking right now, but not this group. These brave athletes are right now down to less than 10K of racing out here. Fireworks on the climb the next time. No doubt about it. They have just this last time. I'm a little surprised, to tell you the truth, that Feezy was dropped out of this group, but it goes to show you, I talked about energy management at the top of the broadcast, and that's the name of the game out here. Who's going to have a little bit of gas left in the tank the last time you go over that really, really tough bit of the climb? That 15% grade, even though it's not the finish line, it's going to have a big, big impact in this race. So that's our B women that we've been following along with, the front group there, as we go to split screens, as this is going to be Coaster over on the other side, as our C women have gone past the 16K mark here, so they're into the back half of this race. And it's nice to see Socks for Watts talking about teams that have a legacy in the sport.
100%. Wanted to jump on in, and going to be Tatsha Coaster, actually, who helped us out to get over into the C category, as we were able to find her avatar. We'll see if we can jump into the live action.
It's a funny name for a cyclist. Coaster.
Yeah, coasting, just coasting along.
Right.
Like that's a good one for it. Jumping up toward the front, we'll see if we can find the leaders, as this is going to be the lead group. McLean is here. We've got I'm Red V from the Vikings, Tuma from Synergy, making their way over the top. G Zoller also from Revo. Some of the big team names actually here. Good to see. Revo, Galaxy, Coalition, Herd from the Gen 2 Penguins is there as well. So really solid group coming over the top for this C category.
All right, racing out here in New York. It seems like it's been a minute, and taking a look now at this group, probably the biggest group that we've got out on course right now, with McLean in the mix here, that Feather power-up. That's the one you're looking for, no doubt, especially when it gets as steep as 10% as it is right now for the coalition rider here.
Oh, you see what
Given a no
McLean did
love, no
there?
draft.
Yep, no draft.
But
And Red Viking comes over the top over there on the right-hand side of
also,
our camera.
it's great to see. So these two have Zwift play, talking about Red, who is really active, the Norwegian last week, and McLean. And do you see how they're using it to their advantage? As they basically, it's not negative racing, but what they're doing is taking the draft away from the riders who, if they had Zwift play, could follow, but they don't. So they go and create their own lane. But that was an interesting moment there, because one rider responding to the other. Now they start putting more pressure on the pedals. We got some real bike racing going on right now here for our C women, as this is the Vanguard, the Tete de la Course, and they are having at it. The gloves are off as we move into the back end of this race. It's going to be, I tell you what, the strongest woman is definitely going to win on a course like this.
Yeah, I'm Red there from Vikings. It's still on the front, so kind of on the front, on the left-hand side of the course there. She's going to come over to the right here, interesting enough, saying, okay, is it not working? And going to give a wheel. Was she just trying to get rid of Zoller, perhaps, from Revo and became happy with that? No, Revo's going to stay with it, it looks like, as Zoller stays on task to hold on to the wheel. On the left-hand side, though, it is again going to be McLean here from the coalition. It's a race to the line, and now saving up the arrow power-up, it looks like it's going to be Chelsea from the Gen 2s, but no, again, another kick from I'm Red to the line, neck and neck. There it is. It looks like it is going to be
awesome.
I'm Red between Tara and Chelsea, and this could be a kick over the top after that Queen of the Mountain punch.
So interesting, though, to see, Nathan, that the feather power-up gets deployed by Chelsea. I Am Red, it's just perfect there with her power-up. The drafting power-up gets used right after. So she almost doubles down on the feather power-up because she's in the draft of the rider using it. That was, I mean, I don't know if that was planned or good luck or a little bit of both, but I guess that's what bike racing is all about, too, is every now and then you got to catch a break. But certainly putting yourself in position.
Fans? Dave, I just got to mention, we always have these little Easter eggs, and we just had those fans back there. Have you ever noticed them before? There's a whole bunch of these. Look at all these fans, and they're on these, like, now hold on a second. Like, would you want to be hanging out on this? When thank you to Nashu from Germany here is going to help us out. Look at where they're hanging out. Like they're stuck.
Well, I think that they're waiting for a shuttle.
Yeah. There's these taxis there that can take them out, and they're waiting. Okay.
Yeah. I wish I could call them fans, but I think they're just citizens of New York.
They're waving at least.
Uh-huh. We'll count them as fans, though.
I
mean, they get a little free
from the ladies here, saying the super strong, good job, and a lot of encouragement between them. That's awesome to see.
This is the most legit support network on planet Earth, the Zwift community. I've over the last 5 years, how impressive this group has been. And this is really the stronghold of Zwift community, is the women's racing in these categories, the Bs and the Cs. These are the nicest, I mean, just unrelentingly kind women in these groups. And it's really paid off. You see, so just look at Aeonian, for example. How many women have benefited by becoming a part of that program, the motivation, the accountability? It's just a super fun crew to ride with. So this is, some of the secret sauce with what Zwift has been doing is in these women collaborating together to have an absolute blast and get fitter and work on their mental health, and all at the same time get the racing mojo going.
100%. Absolutely love the encouragement within this community.
And isn't this group the best, teams? Nathan, when you really want to break it down? We could
really
all learn something.
It really is.
Yep.
Really awesome to see amongst the ladies. The women's crews out there and the teams, very, very awesome to see the way that they all come together and the camaraderie between them. Now, the
way they look out. I mean, Zwift can be, especially getting into racing, it can be challenging. And the way that they look out for each other and mentor each other, and they seem to accept the responsibility of, once you've been mentored, to go on and to look after some other new women. So just a big pat on the back. But this is going to get rough out here. Nathan. There's going to be no gifts given in the last 8K, as they came here to win a bike race and chew gum, and they're just about out of gum, as they say. Or they are out of gum. I don't know who has gum, but
Rowdy Piper.
some bike racers
Appreciate
chew
the,
gum, I'm sure.
I love the reference though. I wonder who amongst the broadcast here knows the reference. There, it's Them, right? The movie was Them, correct?
So that's interesting. I thought it was the Rowdy Roddy Piper.
It is. That's what I said. It's Rowdy Piper.
Okay.
But
Okay,
he was
good.
the star in the movie Them, where he said.
So
that.
I didn't know that's where it came from. So that was a scripted line.
It was a
that he's
scripted
reading.
line, and it's a movie where there's aliens, and you can't see them without some special glasses that he found. And then, like, he's like, I gotta go get all the alien people that are actually alien people, not real people. And then he says that line at some point when they're like, "Are you gonna keep going or something?" Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those infamous tough guy statements.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Coming into the last sprint here, it looks like, as it is going to, the last sprint for the C category. The B category has started their final Queen of the Mountain right now. Real quickly, we'll go picture-in-picture for just a moment, just to give you an idea. There's the situation over with the B category leaders. C category about to do this sprint, then we'll jump back in with those leaders and see how that final climb goes over the top of that Queen of the Mountain. But back in with the C's is going to set up here for one of their final sprints for the leaders here. Zoller, I am Red, McLean from Coalition, Gentoo Herd is here with Chelsea. It is also with a chase from the German. Nasju is only 12 seconds back at this point, as the ladies were having a little bit of a chit-chat coffee break. It
Good
looks
honor.
like. Yeah, good for her. A little bit of a feather power up now coming from
She's
the
actually coming
Vikings.
back. It's down to 10 now. So she's coming back to this group. Down to 9.
We'll see if she's
Come
got
on, Nashu.
the endurance. I mean, perhaps it is a longer race than usual. Sometimes that can benefit a rider that just has the legs for a longer
She's going to
race.
rejoin. She's actually halved that gap since we started talking about it now. So in the next minute, she's going to rejoin unless someone stomps on the pedals.
Well, I
We're
think they're going to do just that.
That's her.
Because we have a sprint section here coming right now. So the stomping's going to happen. The question is whether or not it's going to impact. And there's the aero power-ups now as Tuma. 6.6 watts per kilogram out the front. Here comes Galaxy, maybe with the kick. Synergy now holding on. It looks like it's going to be Tuma. Hunt now to the second place, it looks like, followed by McLean from Coalition. Nice job by Synergy there. Zoller over the top. Where's Noosh? Noosh is still hanging. 4.7. Does a little bit of a jump here. She's got him in sight. Noshu, this is such a battle here. Her against the world.
And, she survived that surge for the sprint. It had gone down to 5 seconds. Now it's going back. She was really fighting. This is a huge effort. That's the group just in front of her. We were talking about, she had it down to 5 seconds, but then they started sprinting. Now they've settled back down. But I think that she paid a price. It's been a rugged last couple of K here for the German.
100%. Jumping really quickly on over to the B category as they're finishing up their final time up and over the top of this climb. They've just got halfway through, and there's a little bit of a gap now, it looks like, to Francis, Smith, and Edquist. Erickson, very surprised by this, as Erickson was one of the stronger riders. I would not be expecting to be falling off of the main pace here. It looks like Oliver alongside of Erickson trying to close down 3-second gaps, but now the number of times up over the top here, knowing this is the final time, a lot of times anybody who's saved anything, they're trying to snap the elastic completely now. NZ Bro with Smith, Edquist on the wheel.
And remembering there's not a peloton to chase you back, allowing you to be even a little more brave than you might normally be. Why not go for it? And by the way, thank you, Alejandro. I see your note there about NZ Bro. It's not New Zealand's bicycle racing online, which he was able to find out by going online. So there you go. Edquist now attacking. This is the Bs that we're looking at. So It's on like Donkey Kong out here for the women as they're going to be down to right around, let's call it 4K of racing for that group. This is Francis, who's been, I would say, the woman to beat out here with no peloton. You can see she's got a couple riders behind her, but they're not going to benefit from the dramatic physics, the boost. Well, they do make that catch. Those should be three together. Those, I would think. Does Francis grab that wheel or not?
Yep, all three
They're
together.
just a
All three
little
together.
slow to
Good
respond,
call.
but yeah.
Yeah, good call there, Dave. They did all come together. So it is going to be two NZ Bro versus one Movistar rider. Oliver off the back and Ericsson here. And I have a feeling that these two NZ Bro riders, they are not going to slow down. It's within their favor at this point, knowing that there isn't going to be any more climbs. It's just a finish line. They can set up well here and try and uh, waste the energy if they can of Edquist by going over the top, do some attacks here. They probably don't want Ericsson to come back. They've seen the sprint from Ericsson. Ericsson has punched into some pretty high orange numbers each and every time. And so because of that, I personally would not want that rider from Norway back in amongst my group and would just push on as best as I could.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. And they're starting to work the numbers now with two in this group. If you are Edqvist, well, maybe your best, the mindset might be to start attacking these two. It's going to be a very interesting finale that we're looking at right now. So the two New Zealanders here in the light blue jerseys, Edqvist here representing Movistar, a team that's been in fuego over the last month, picking up 2 stage wins at Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. So there you can see the Movistar rider in the dark blue. It's a little hard to see the donut. Well, not now. There they are. Nice job, Nathan. The donut jersey here for the two New Zealanders. So let's see. They're really going to start running out of real estate pretty quickly, Nathan. It's relatively flat from here on into the finish as well. Going to kind of just look at this one, even though we have been scoring this as a points race, looking at this just now as a natural race of 3 to the line. I would imagine that's how the ladies are looking at it as well here. How do I win this bike race? How do I beat the other two across the line? Or the New Zealanders, I would think, are working together to try to beat the Swede here.
Most likely. I would think that's exactly what's going to be happening here. Now, real quickly, I'm going to jump back on over to the C's before we do hit into the finale. 2K to go over with that B category real quick, though. In with the C category, we did see that Nashu did make her way back, actually. She is fading backwards just a little bit as they start their final climb. So nice job on Nashu to be able to claw her way back. The ladies actually congratulated her the moment that she grabbed back on. So very cool of them. To give her some encouragement, and we'll see how this final climb does play out in just a moment. We'll try and get a replay of that for you as they do jump over the top, but we don't want to miss the finish here. And bro, look to try and start working this situation here as they push the front. Edquist falling off just a little bit from the main draft here, interesting enough, but it looks like she's going to jump right back on.
Yeah, I think that was a temporary situation, not a biomechanical. She's right back into exactly the spot that she wants to be for right now as she sits in the slipstream. This is going to get really, really tactical. So Nathan, Bike Racing 101 says that the New Zealanders should use their advantage of being able to attack in turn here and just try to wear out Edqvist, even if she is the best sprinter. You want to dull that sprint, certainly. That's your best opportunity.
1K to go, 100%. You do want to do exactly that. Put a little bit of
it looks like it's just going to be a sprint, though.
Yeah, they're just
at this point. Yeah, and so whether it's interesting. It really is. If you trust in your sprint, I guess I'm just going to go take a look at the numbers right now. When you look at it, they're very even. When you talk about Oliver and Francis here. On raw numbers, Nathan, they're within a couple watts of each other. Across the board, these two women are very, very even as far as what type of racer they are, at least data-wise. I don't have the info on Edqvist in front of
Oh,
me,
that's
actually. That's a
really
power up. There she
early.
goes,
She's
getting
not
out in
risking
front
it
of
up
it.
against them here. She's just going to try and make it happen. She is going to be able to hold on to a solid 1 second gap. It looks like 10 watts per kilogram. Edquist gone. Nobody came able to respond. Hits with a lot of speed. Very well timed arrow power up. There is no response at this point. Taking speed into that climb is exactly how you want to break that apart. If she would have waited any longer, it would have been a slow start to get up and go. She gets the gap, and Edvicus is gone. 190 beats per minute, 492 watts at the moment, and 4 seconds. That's said and done.
Not much you can do about that. That's just a world-class move right there from Edqvist. As she opens up that gap, that's it. Done and dusted. That's going to be, Nathan, the best defense is a good offense every now and then. Francis is going to come through and take second at the finish line. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be their ultimate placings, as we'll go back and look at all the data from the race, but we're going to be finishing up the rest of our Bs right now, as this is going to be the Ericsson group coming in.
Ericsson versus Oliver. Ericsson gets the jump. Oliver tries to respond with the drafting power up. Not going to be able to happen. So that's the situation across the line between Ericsson and Oliver. Jumping back over real quickly, we can catch Gentus with Chelsea over the top in the C category. This battle is playing out. We'll get a quick little replay of how this just played out just a moment ago between them. But Chelsea from the Gentoo herd Penguins here, able to break this pack apart. A little bit earlier, I saw Hunt and Nashu. Both Hunt actually called it out. I'm done. And goes backwards here. So good on her for sticking it out here almost to the end. 6th place over the top of the climb for this Queen of the Mountain. Zoller trying to claw her way back to McLean, but it's a solid 16 seconds up to another pack of 3, interesting enough, Dave, that are getting away unless Chelsea just says forget it and she checks out from everybody else.
I love Tadej Pogačar so much, but his I'm done, I'm dead radio message at this year's tour, it's certainly most of us out here, all of us out here can relate to that feeling, and you can find it in esports as well. Back with the front of the bike race, this is going to be Chelsea, the herd of Gen 2 Penguins here, but I do think that the catch is going to be made before the finale in our C race, Nathan, as though too looks like they might have enough steam left to bring this one back. We'll watch and see. It's going to be an interesting finale for the C ladies here.
Herd of Gen 2 Penguins.
Looks like that catch is imminent, though.
You know, whenever we have these names that are like in the way that we say them, like we're extremely familiar with them, it's like, well, it's because we are. But why is there a herd of Gen 2 penguins out there, for those that aren't familiar with the broadcast?
Well, you do know, because we've been through this together, Nathan, but there's something like 250 different kinds of penguins, aren't there?
Yeah, and the TTT for the herd category, because there were so many different teams within the herd team, they were naming their teams after a bunch of different types of penguins.
It used to be just birds, but then it was like the kingdom, phylum, genus, species thing. There were so many teams that they had to start breaking it down into types of penguins, like the emperor penguins we learned about.
We learned about a lot of penguins. We
learned a lot of birds, to be honest. We've learned a lot through the last 5 years about flags, birds, dinosaurs, and how to win out of a group of 3.
Yeah, the question is, can a Gen 2 take flight? I'm not sure if Chelsea's going to be able to. So far, she has shown us they can grow wings somehow and get over the top.
They can make a lot of watts. I don't know if they can lift off Earth, but they can make watts.
That's for sure. Chelsea's going to show us in just a moment here out of the UK whether or not she can take down I am Red V for the Vikings here, as well as Tuma from Synergy. Going to be tough, though. Tuma's been tough to beat in the sprint so far from what we've seen on the day. If that repeats itself, it looks like it might be Tuma up against Chelsea.
She's been a monster.
Yeah, she has. But, you know, you never know if somebody's been holding on to something here. So will the Synergy rider take down another sprint for the overall win in the scratch section of this race?
You know, a long time ago, we decided that we're actually going to have the racers do the race rather than just talk about it and decide without doing the race. So that's the beautiful thing, is they get to prove it with their legs and lungs and brains out here.
As
rather than just me choosing the winner.
that would be any fun. That
Not
would
much
be.
joy in that, is there? So here we go. So, looking back, if you don't think you're the best sprinter in this group or you have those doubts lingering in your mind, getting out in front of it and attacking this group is it's a good play. It really is. You never know when you might catch them a little off guard. The beautiful thing about being in a group of three is, Nathan, when you attack, you've got two riders who look at each other. You have that classic standoff where someone's got to start the chase and then that rider's immediately at a disadvantage, right? So it's sort of like you put people under pressure without any doubt when you make that attack and you find out, oh, who's going to lead that chase? And it certainly tells a lot. And it's lighting the fuse is what you really do.
Got a little bit of a downhill here. This is the last section where you do have roll through speed, -4% gradient, and then you get this little 0. And I think there's one more little 1%, and then from here it's up and then over the top of a kicker and down into the sprint. It looks like not going to have a similar situation what we saw in the B category just a moment ago with the attack off the front from Edquist here. Tuma's just going to ramp it up, it looks like, at 4 watts per kilogram, rather, as Chelsea hanging on to the wheel. Tuma now throwing down, though, with I mean, that's pretty smart with the feather power up at that section the moment that it starts heading uphill.
Yep, well, she's going to go for it. This is all in. The chip's been pushed right into the middle of the table. Now, can't say it's enough right now because here comes the charge, but the race is on, and the gap is significant. So I think Tuma may have done it, Nathan. She's continuing to put huge numbers up. Gap not coming down. The Synergy rider is hit out with authority. She's trying to put him behind the 8 ball. Is it going to be enough? It looks like it is. Nice job here.
Chelsea had a little bit more to give, and she just waited too long. She even had an arrow power up, Dave. Oh, man. A little bit too long there. Now Zoller open over the top. This is going to be your next placings here for 4th and 5th place across the line. Zoller, McLean, as Zoller's going to take that down for Revo. Coalition going to have to settle in for 5th place across the line. Noshu, what a ride here from Noshu. Able to come back to that group and overtake Hunt here now at the end for a 6th place, where she was all the way out at, I believe, 7th at one point. So nice job for her, as Hunt's going to have come across the line for 7th, a little ways back. Alex is going to roll things right on in, but just a moment ago watching that, Dave, there was an arrow power up still in the midst.
Well, yeah, Nathan, that's, learning moment there. This is our C group, so noted. And I'm going to guess that won't happen again. But you can get so wrapped up in it, and without that experience, I could see how you might leave some crumbs on the table. Don't want to do that.
Yeah, interesting. And, I mean, really could have been a better situation there for Chelsea from the Gentus if just a little bit earlier on the use of that power-up. So, nice job to Hunt there for Galaxy, coming in for 6th place. I'm going to jump across here. I definitely want to just say hello to our D category rider, Snow Vanderwellington, out there again. It looks like dominating in this D category. In just a moment, we'll be taking a look at.
She's been on a roll talking about Snow.
Absolutely has been absolutely flying, coming up on the top of the climb here. Nice job as she takes this Queen of the Mountain down. She's going to be racking up a lot of points here for the Vixen team. She's got a pretty good gap here at this point. It's not going to be that actual 15 that we were looking at. I can find in just a moment here what the actual gap is in just a moment. I believe it's going to, well, actually it is, maybe it is close to, let's take a look back to 11th place. Lots of groups actually completely blown apart here in our D category. It looks like it is going to be Bond here trying to chase down Steenstra as they start their climb. A little ways ahead is Steenstra. It should be, there's a couple of riders here in between these that we don't actually have eyes on at this moment, as Wellington comes over the top, and that's going to be our 1st place rider. So there are 2 riders in between. I think that's going to be Anya Millivjord and Elmit Puller for ZRG, who are going to be our riders that are in between. Hillary Bond there currently sitting a little ways back with Jacqueline Steinstra on the chase. Patoi Oshia, back in 6th place with Clara Heathcote alongside of her. That's the current situation here in this D category.
All right, as we follow Snow on her descent down to the finish line, I do want to shout out the riders, Nathan, that you see sitting multiple minutes back. It takes a lot of courage to race your bike, whether it's in real life or on Zwift. And the fact that you're out here racing and virtually pinning on a number, you're going to see that the learning curve is incredibly steep with this. And yeah, I mean, I don't know any racer, Nathan. I guess there's going to be some examples of, superstar virtuoso talents that had success right from the get-go. But just about all of us, really, you get your head bashed in the first few times you race, and you learn some lessons, and you're going to come back stronger, no doubt. And just the fact that you're out here, that's the first giant step that takes you on the path of getting better. And believe me, all of the top athletes, I mean, even once you establish yourself as a top athlete out here, it's always going to be a battle to keep climbing that mountain. Fitness comes and goes, but it's really your heart that you're showing by taking the start. So don't worry about the fact that you're 15 minutes back. You should be proud of yourself that you're racing.
100%. Snow Vanderwellington here from Vixen, averaging a solid 2.7 watts per kilogram throughout the race, able to get the gap and coming in with our 50 plus age category. Awesome to see.
How far back, Nathan, are the folks that never even showed up and raced today, right? Yep. They're a lot further back than 15 minutes.
100%. Millivjord, I just want to shout out 3 minutes back here from this rider. Elmit Kohler there, going to be chasing her down less than a minute back, actually. There might be a battle still playing out there. Jacqueline Steinstra is there as well. This is going to be her versus Bond. Hillary Bond here currently in 5th place. Just going to give a quick little shout out to the rest of the Ds that are out here making their way around. Patty O'Shea as well, 115 back from this out of the US of A. Great to see with the Watch the Femmes kit on. Awesome. Nicely done. And lots of Zwiftiness here with Patty, actually. She doesn't, Patty, interesting enough, I'm not seeing a team attached to Patty over on ZwiftPower.com. And
looks like she's on Canyon SRAM now. Maybe they picked her up. It was great seeing that jersey during Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, wasn't it?
Absolutely awesome.
We actually got to see it on the podium with Kasia Niezadoma.
With Zwift and Zwift Power, what's really cool is, a lot of times during the broadcast, we'll be over in Zwift Power and we'll be looking back at races and the history of these racers. And this racer started racing in 2021. That's 2 years ago, Dave. And has how many races? 253 races.
Yeah.
Underneath her. Absolutely awesome.
Level 41 Zwifter. She's definitely put in her work. Certainly hard to believe when you see her picture that she's 50 plus. If you told me she was 24, I'd believe you. When you look at her photo here.
And then just giving the comparisons across here, though, too. I mean, just the breadth of time and effort across the women's categories here. Level 60 here from Snow. And you go back on her profile, and you're going back to 2019 with 235 races, which gives you a good idea of the amount of racing that Patty O'Shea has done since she jumped into Zwift racing. She has more races in, actually, than Snow, who's been around the program, actually, for 2 years longer. Interesting enough. But now all that isn't to make really that much of a comparison between the riders and their competitiveness. It's more of like the breadth of history,
the dedication
amongst this women's crew, and how much women racing it has a building tradition out on Zwift for sure across all the categories too. Look at the participation here. 15 riders here showing up and hammering away out in this Grand Central Circuit.
We could say, isn't it great how much they Zwift? But I would actually say, isn't it great how much they've committed to their own health and well-being? I mean, that's someone who's invested in themselves. That's awesome, ladies.
Yep, very awesome. Especially
Snow doesn't have far to go, actually,
no,
Nathan.
She's almost done here. She's going to be our first across the line pretty quickly, actually. A little bit of a kick for us, even. like in the
Yep, she's into the final time sector now, so you can see those flashing light. The line on the ground there has her activating her Wellington turbo, and that one's done and dusted.
Wellington Turbo. I like that one. He's got the Wellington Turbo. Miller Yard here now, making her way. A little bit of a battle, actually, I think, happening between. Is this a group? Is
She's
this a.
going to make a catch here.
Oh, no, it's
Uh,
the lapped riders, I believe. That's what's
okay.
going on. Yeah, it's lapped riders. So Milliard here, she's going to be making her way to second place. It looks like pretty easily. I believe Corler here from third for ZRG. So that's going to be our podium. I don't think Bond or Steintra are going to be able to catch Corler. So that's the situation for the D's. That's the final race here within the women's series, though, as the D's are finishing up out on course. Congratulations to those ladies. Keep it going. Awesome to see. In the A category, Dave, it looks like it was a battle between Luis Gamps and Maria Marb to the line. They were able to drop off Karen Baines and Laura Meyer, actually. That's the top four. We'll be taking a look at those um, results here in just a second. But, it's been I want to give a shout out, though, to James Bailey and Zwift. And they did 3 series. This was the final of the 3 series. Started in, I believe it was late spring or early. I think it was late spring they first started in. They did 3 different series, 6 races each, and it's been a huge success, actually. And we've seen massive participation all the way through summer, actually, from the ladies. It's been really cool to see.
I think the numbers this summer were really surprisingly good, to tell you the truth. And I'm going to echo what you said, James. Thanks for your efforts. Truly, in our community, you're really a superstar. So keep up the good work.
100%. You head on over to zippower.com. You can find the results for the women's series across all of the races to see who is leading them. And hopefully by the time that we are up and running for the next series that they put on like this, we'll be able to bring in more series type results and some of that data. Currently, we don't have that ability. So go ahead and head on over to zwiftpower.com in order to find those. If you find the women's racing series, you can click on through and find where the standings are at within EMEA. They said that is the category. They also did have not just the EMEA though, right, Dave? I mean, they also had a couple of other leagues going on as well. They did have an Asia Pacific APAC APAC. They had America's East as well as America's West. EMEA is just the one that we broadcast because this is the highlight time. Usually, it meets a lot of the time zones where we get a lot of Zwifters that are able to compete against each other, and it also tends to be the time that the broadcasts get the most viewership. That 1 p.m. slot's a good one. So, well, next up in the Zwift world, Dave, we've got some. Did you see the Worlds rides that are happening? Races and rides, interesting enough, and you can unlock a UCI kit, like a special Worlds kit.
Yeah, it's super cool. The Super Worlds kick off tomorrow, and the excitement around that in our Scottish world, it's all going to come together over the next few weeks. So there's going to be an incredible number of exciting things to see and do and be a part of. So yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's hard to believe, isn't it? Again, this is a very special time with the Olympics in Paris next year, and there's been a lot of rethinking when events happen. But World Road Championship for the men is next week. We're a week away. And the
That's
women,
crazy.
it's really,
I'm like,
it's
it's
crazy.
like coming at you nonstop.
Right.
We
And it
had
used to always
Tour de
be that the
France,
men and the
boom,
women
boom,
would
boom.
be one day apart. Now the women, because of Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, you need to have an opportunity for the women to recover and regroup. So their world championship will be a week later than the men, even. So
Huh.
it's really interesting the way
Well, that's
that all
something to look
works out.
forward to. I kind of like that, actually, personally.
Yeah,
I kind of like that we
actually,
have them separated because you have a lot of hype around one race, and then you have a lot of hype around another race with a build up.
I think yeah, it gives the women's race more of a chance to breathe and be its own event rather than trying to compact it all into such an intense weekend. So it's good for women's racing to move it that 1 week apart. And obviously, Tour de France Femme avec Zwift is the best thing to happen to women's bike racing in my lifetime. without any doubt, and continuing to look forward too. Another exciting event is already being planned for next year. So it's a good time to be a women's cycling fan as we wrap up the women's series here today. And Nathan, I think on top of that, it's a good time to share the fact with the world that you're a fan of women's racing. Just like I've noticed the energy around the Women's World Cup of soccer. That's awesome to see. Same thing with Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. So it's a good time to love women's sports.
100%. Well, let's go ahead and jump in. We're gonna have the finish here for the D category with the results from the A's, though, up over the top, and it is going to be Louise Scamps taking it down just ahead of Maria Marb there for a final sprint. Karen Baines from Synergy, followed up by Laura Meyer and Anna C. Zub. That's your top five here across for the A category. The B category here had a little bit of a battle. Jessica Edgis there with that sprint, Dave.
Yet another big win for Movistar. Way to go, Jessica Edqvist. So the Swede will take it. 51.02. She had 5 seconds when it was all done and dusted. Carly Francis showed a lot of heart out there today, as did her teammate, Natalie Smith. As Carly will take silver, Natalie will take bronze for NZ Pro. It's going to be Marianne Eriksson in 4th place and Thea Oliver in 5th for NZ Pro Synergy's Leah Feasy in 6th. It's Z Silvana, a coalition rider, in 7th. Vanessa Beaver, also with coalition, the Canadian ending up in 8th. Lango in 9th, and Larissa Hejboer of Team NL rounds out our top 10 for the B women. Back to you, Nathan, for the C's.
In with the C category, Melissa Tuma gets that kick to the line just ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea with that arrow power up next time. She'll maybe take that down, but she had a solid climb over the top of the Queen of the Mountain, taking that first place over their final climb. Nice job to her on that. England M. Red coming through for 3rd place, 5 seconds back. Greta Zoller able to drop off late McLean there for 4th and 5th, respectively, to each. Sylvia Nashu claws her way back into contention and ends up in 6th place. Nice job to the German rider out there. Tanya Hunt from Galaxy in 7th place, followed up by Sherry Townsend from the ATP Hive. Great to see ATP showing up out there and taking down a solid 8th place. Lichtenstein coming through for Uli, I believe it is. Uli Lichtenstein from Zed Sun, 9th place. And Sarah Kirby from the Synergy team also out there today. Let's get a quick reload of this page here and see if we can jump in with a couple of extra D category riders. And we do get, it looks like, and we got one more just crossing here, actually. And I definitely want to just make sure we get everybody we possibly can in there. And there it is. Dave, take it away.
Thanks, Nathan. Well, Snow, congratulations. You're the queen of Zwift today, as Snow van der Wellington of the Velocity Vixen team takes the gold cup. It's Anya Miljord, a silver medalist, and Almut Kohler of ZRG Trebetal in 3rd. And the bronze cup that goes with it is all yours, Almut. It's going to be Hillary Bond of WCC in 4th, and then Jacqueline Steinstra just finishes there in 5th.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to the Zwift Community Live for the Zwift Women's Racing Series event number 6. Thanks for following along for the entirety of the racing series. Head on over to ZwiftCommunityLive.com for updates on what the next broadcasts are going to be. We'll have a newsletter coming up pretty quickly about what's coming up for Zwift Racing League, as well as the broadcasts toward the end of August. We've got a lot of awesome work happening in the background, just so you know, heading toward the ZRL and maybe a couple of warm-up races before then. We also obviously have the wrap. If you want to go and check out the podcast, we're heading into, amazingly, episode number 55, over a year of doing that podcast. Plenty of listening to do there while you're out on your rides. And Dave, I'm looking forward to this upcoming Zwift season, as we traditionally call it, with Zwift Racing League. Really cool the announcements of the Zwift Racing League. We'll probably cover it a little bit on the podcast, but points race, scratch race, TTT. It's actually the scratch race, points race, TTT, and then repeat and do it again. 6 races in total. Loving the new format WTR are putting out there, and the way that they're 6 races, not too much in a round, and then every kind of format that everybody seems to love.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nathan. The stoke level is off the charts for this. This ZRL season is really benefiting from what we've learned over the last 2 and 3 seasons. The racing has become more intense and demanding. The athletes have been participating. Martin Carew has really worked hard for just dialing things in. So everybody can really expect what's going to be a tremendous season. It's going to be amazing.
I see lots of chatter coming through. A lot of the teams starting to organize, get things ready. The little over a month to go, so make sure to get your teams ready. Registration is going to open up soon, so be on the watch out for that. Head on over to WTRL.racing for that. Thanks for everybody checking out the women's series. We'll see you for the wrap on Thursday. And until then, from Dave and I, right on.